Hey everybody, KC here. So there was a press release circulated a couple of days ago about how HEB is working with a shopper education company called Looma to introduce in-store video storytelling programs to the Texas grocery landscape with the recent launch of beer and wine programs in approximately 120 HEB stores statewide. And basically the platform is known as Loop. And according to the press release, it shares a blend of personal stories and educational information. Think tasting notes or pairing suggestions through a network of smart tablets and beer and wine departments with the goal of informing purchasing decisions and connecting shoppers to the people behind the products. Well, first of all, I think this is pretty cool, right? I think whenever you have the opportunity to tell a story about a product, it's a really good thing to do. I have to say, I'm a little bit amused by the technology component of this. And listen, I'm all in favor of technology. But the thing was, 20, 30 years ago, Fergal Quinn was doing this as Super Quinn, right? He'd put up a big poster, a big sign in the produce department and say, this is the guy who grew the apples, or this is the guy who harvested the lettuce. Or he'd put a sign up in the fish department, this is the guy who caught the salmon. Or in the meat department, this is the guy who raised the cows. Or in the bakery department, this is the person who raised the wheat that went into the bread. Telling a story is great. I don't think you always have to depend on technology, but obviously the technology makes it a lot more dynamic. But the other thing I wanted to bring up was the idea that I think it's great that this is in the beer and wine department. I think retailers naturally gravitate to the beer and wine departments as a place where they can tell interesting stories. But they're not the only departments where people should be telling stories. And in addition, by the way, to the fresh food departments, and yes, stories that are be told about products throughout fresh food departments, because there are interesting stories to tell, but these things ought to be throughout the store as well. There's a lot of products in the aisles, specialty food items from interesting places with interesting origins and interesting stories that stories could be told about as well. I think whenever retailers can find an opportunity to tell a story about a product, about the person who made it, about the origin of the product, it's enormously compelling and it helps to create relationships with shoppers. Those shoppers are going to come back because they're not going to just get products from you, they're going to get a great story from you, a story that they're going to be able to share with their friends and family. So listen, I think this is great. I think it's a terrific idea that HEB is doing this. I think more companies ought to be doing it, not just using technology and in more departments, because there's nothing better than being able to connect with a customer who essentially is saying to the retailer, tell me a story. Anyway, that's what's on my mind this morning. And as always, I want to hear what's on your mind.